Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thomas JakaTak Labonte,
And my name is Mimmoh here.
and this is another cast of Vanguard. We have spawning in the top right as the Zerg Daedra, the ally of Daedra, Super Bales. We've got Granos, the German player, and Torino, the other German player, so they can actually speak German to each other and don't have to use a second language to communicate in a team game, and that's awesome.
So, for my channel, which is very new to, Vanguard and all that sort of stuff, can you just give us a quick rundown of what Vanguard is? Because I think it's quite a cool concept, it's a really cool game, and it just changes up how RTS is generally played as a whole. So, just a general, real quick, this is what we aim to do in this game.
Yeah, so take StarCraft, right? Remove all of the repetitive rote tasks like having to build workers and things like that, and instead focus the skill around positioning and micro and tactics, and that's basically more or less what Vanguard is. We have the commander system as well, right? So think co-op, but 2 versus 2 instead of 2 versus environment. And that's basically, that's kind of it. That's kind of the layman's term. This time around, we've got, looks like expansion builds for everyone, so we're going to get into the mid-game pretty reliably here.
Which, just generally speaking, gets the cool stuff happening, since the mid-game is where the good units come through. It's where the big, not so much big battles, but where the little skirmishes happen around the map, and where you just need to position yourself really smartly in order to, get the map awareness from these watchtowers here, and just taking the right ones, depending on where you want to expand and that sort of stuff.
Absolutely, and we have a high scout count over here for our teal player Super Bales. So scouts in this game are not, they're actually scouts in this game, but the point is we have this class, scouting units, right? You build them from your main command structure, you don't have to build a building to make them, and they allow, you actually start with a couple of them as well, and they allow you to get out on the map and start interacting with the different map objectives. We saw Bales there cleaning out the fortification point of the Zel Naga turret, and every time you kill a Zel Naga turret, you get 15 Zel Naga energy, and you can use that to summon the construct that appears in the center. You can use that to create these Nidus Destroyers, obelisks, etc. We call those forts. Everybody gets one. They're all differently themed, of course, for different races. And you also have combat spells and healing structures as well. So all of that is the Zel Naga energy economy, let's say, and it's a pretty important thing in the game. We see a lot of StarCraft players kind of ignore it in the beginning, but once they realize the power, start to use a lot more. This scout from Granos is going to get pushed away pretty quickly, and of course, the other thing too is all these scouts have melee range, and that just allows you to a lot more consistently be able to get a scout on your opponent, see what they're up to, see new gases they've taken, things like that.
Yeah, and just talking about Zel Naga energy and just how the game works, you've got 2 commanders per se, per race, except for Zerg, which is just the overmind at the moment. And the way it works is similar to co-op. So you have these abilities that come with the commander that you can, summon these obelisks for the Protoss Zeratul player, or the Aegis gun. Is that for the Terran? I believe.
Yeah, Aegis gun for the Terran, yeah, you nailed it, man. And then Nidus Destroyers for the Zerg. I have to say that the Zerg one is by far the coolest, I think. I might be a little bit biased, as Zerg is my one of my favorite races, let's say.
That is for
there
sure.
aren't too many. Okay, it's my favorite race, I give up. Alright, no caster bias, I promise. I love all these players. But we're having a little bit of divergence here. We're starting to have divergence. The first third base is going to be taken by Daedra over here. But we also have a third base for Torino, built-in base. And the difference here is going to be the mineral-only expansion that Daedra has managed to take. And then I imagine this base is going to get floated over here to the regular gas expansion, but Super Bales is already right on top of it. He should be able to scout this almost right away, as we have a
Daedra's with that Overlord. Would you say, if we're going to talk Zerg, so Zerg generally in StarCraft 2 is so important to get more expansions than your opponent, get more economy than your opponent. Does that come into effect here in Vanguard so much? Is in being so detrimental?
So it's actually a little bit more like Brood War in that you can really take a whole bunch of bases more than your opponent, trade cost inefficiently, and still win out the day. And the difference is that in Vanguard, you can do that with any race. Any race can employ that sort of macro strategy of, I'm going to go ahead and take a bunch of bases, trade cost inefficiently with more units than you, and win out the day, right? Any race can do that. And in the same way, if you're worried about like, oh wait, does Zerg need to be a base ahead of their opponents? No, not the case at all. It's about even. You can look at the incomes and you can say, okay, if the incomes are more in one direction or the other direction, that team is ahead, regardless of what race they've chosen.
Awesome. So it makes it not so much more balanced, but much more easy to pick up a different race and kind of understand how that race works. Since in StarCraft 2, I think we can all kind of agree that Zerg has this massively different way about playing it, where in this, you just need to build your production structures and kind of, that's the differentiating factor here.
Yeah. There is still a little bit of asymmetrical design because the Terran and the Protoss use this new supply system where it divides supply so that the barracks create barrack supply, but you can't build any factory units with your barrack supply. You have 3 different types of supply. But Zerg only has 1 type of supply, so that sort of maintains or preserves the Zerg ability to do tech switches really quickly compared to the other 2 races.
I guess it still kind of holds true to what Zerg is, though, so... Which is great, because Zerg should be like that.
I agree, and it looks like... Man, it looks like Super Bales has fallen behind in upgrades here. We have 1-1 for everyone except him. His 1-1 is coming along, but we already have 2-2 on the way, and at least one additional +2 upgrade for our orange Terran player. So it looks like the orange team is going to be a bit ahead in upgrades. And the economies are more or less even at the moment, so it's really going to be these small little factors that make a difference.
That is for sure, but it doesn't look like Torino's aiming to get anywhere above Marine tech here at the moment. I see nothing but barracks, and I see nothing but orange Marines running across the map. And I guess that's kind of what happens if you want to go for that really early 3rd expansion, which he did do, as we saw earlier, and try and get these upgrades out as fast as you can. You haven't got the income to try and get out the really high-tech units. And even the Protoss player on the bottom right-hand side has only really got a few immortals in that regard. So it looks like the team of Torino and Granis, I'm going to say, are focusing on your smaller and cheaper units and getting the upgrades earlier, where the Zerg player is going to start... Oh, it doesn't look like they haven't got too high yet, but...
That's going to come in. It's going to increase the attack speed, the movement speed. You see that? It actually increases the size of the unit as well, which changes some interactions. They're going to get a big surround over here and completely defend this attack. And at this point in time, by securing this base, they're pretty solidly in the economic advantage for the time being. Although that will not last too long as we're getting these other bases up and running. It's a very back and forth game as we start to see the Dark Archons pop out.
The best kind of game, but these Dark Archons are a unit, especially against your Marines and even your Centurions here, if you get a good mind control off, can turn the game around. And, it looks like they're going to start going for this construct in the middle of the map here. It's a big investment of Xel'Naga energy. Do you think they're going to try and take that all the way through?
It's always a tough decision. So for those of you wondering, there is a hidden inside this vault. There's a Xel'Naga construct. It's got 2,000 HP and it's really, really powerful, but costs 100 Xel'Naga energy. And you only get about 1 a second or so, maybe a little bit less, plus these little boosts that you get when you kill the Xel'Naga turrets. But once the Xel'Naga turrets are gone off the map, they never come back. So really, you're just waiting on that slow tick of Xel'Naga to come in. A lot of times, you're going to want to throw in, you're going to throw in a fortification structure of some sort, a healing structure. A lot of times, you're going to use that wild mutation, that combat spell. So sometimes saving it for that is the better choice, but in a lot of ways, it's just kind of a stylistic thing. Certain players enjoy using their Xel'Naga energy in different ways, and that's one of our sort of design priorities, is allowing players to express themselves and different styles in the way that they play, and having a lot of different viable strategies, a lot of different viable methods of play.
So let's just talk here for a second. Zerg is on the bottom side of the map, taking out the expansion of the orange Terran. However, there's going to be a monster of an attack going in towards the Zeratul player by both of the teammates here. And they're going to take out this base as well. They're going 1-for-1, but Zerg's put out on the wrong side of the map here. It's going to take a bit longer for the Protoss Zerg combo to try and even get close to engaging this. But as I say,
they know that the engagement is coming up. They're actually trying to build a turret on their opponent's side of the map. You can see this really nice concave up in the front. Let's see how this goes. The Banelings are coming in.
He's managed to split really well, though. And the Spect is going to be able to get one of those Dark Archons there. And they clean it up pretty comfortably, even though they do lose a lot there. But as I say, most of their units are a mineral investment rather than a gas investment. So generally speaking, the cost for the Protoss, those Spectres smash those Stalkers.
Yeah, they have this really powerful burst spell that is on a cooldown called the Kill Zone. You saw that there. You also saw the Confusion spell from the Dark Archon, and that messes... It's basically like a Berserk from Final Fantasy, where you just sort of attack whatever. And in this case, it's governed by whatever is closest to the unit. But in the meantime, though, I gotta give it to Daedra. Daedra is so on top of his harass. He has Zerglings all over the place. He's been doing run guys pretty much the whole game. It's hard to keep up with. And we even have his Zeld attack over here on this side, and all the workers are gonna get cleaned out from this base from Super Bales.
The Zealots are going to trade off pretty decently against those Stalkers too, but even though so many of these probes were lost in that base, the way that Vanguard works is that workers are created automatically, and they can either be obviously toggled on or off, which means you haven't got to worry about really focusing so hard if you lose so many on just creating so much more. Do they still cost minerals, Jack?
Yes, they do. So you still have the economic loss there. You're going to lose income. You're going to lose minerals. And, ooh, a little bit of a punish trying to go down. Oh, Wild Growth, I think is going to be wasted. You can't really get too much done with that.
Wasn't too many Zerg units on top of that there.
In the meantime, though, all of these production structures that got put out really far forward are under attack by all of these Zerglings. But you can see the Marines build so quickly. They're able to defend almost all of them. That one barracks is burning down, though. He's going to have to heal that.
He's going to cut. The Zerglings are pulling back home, and I think he's just going to... He used these couple of Lings here for so long, running around, doing aggression here and there. I think there was one point before where he had two different separate attacks going at once, and this is just how he's going to keep his opponent locked in. Look at all these Zerglings streaming in here from all different sides. 1, 2, 3 sets, 4 sets of Zerglings running in 4 different locations on the map. He's just going to try and contain the opponent and he does it so well. Look at these attacks here in the orange Terran's base.
Yeah, he's killing a silly amount of workers over and over again. As you can see, our orange player dropping down under 1,000 minerals a minute. And even he's going to come over here as well with some Zergling run-bys. And this does a lot of things, right? It does that damage, but even more importantly, it's allowing Super Bales to get his base up on the map. It's keeping the Daedra base in the top right alive. All these really important things. Just maintaining the attention of the opponent long enough so they can continue this economic advantage. And look at that, Daedra's nearing 2,000 minerals a minute right now, and his opponents have about 2,500 minerals a minute combined. So really powerful moves here, keeping the opponent's economy down. And the longer this goes, the better it is for our blue team. But our other players over here, the red team, the orange and yellow combo, which we're calling red because monosyllabic colors are the best, have reached 3-3, and we're going to see, as they're moving into more tech units, now they're done spending so much gas on these upgrades, if they're going to be able to make it happen. Of course, our Protoss player now getting shield upgrades as well. Base being taken down, huge attack coming over here on the other side of the map. These sort of symmetric aggressions on both sides.
There's a lot of Mutalisks here, but if he's spent so many minerals on these Mutalisks, they're still quite squishy. And these Marines are still going to be able to shred them down if they end up getting a good engage underneath them. And the Marines are going to engage straight underneath this Tempest, and 6 Tempests are going to just go down instantly. And that is never a good thing.
Look at this. They didn't even have to take any gas for this army at all. It's just Marines, and you've got these Zealots over here, and that's it. That's all they've got. Of course, the Muta's trying to get some stuff done, but against that many Marines with that level of upgrade, it's so tough to deal with here.
Oh, another Wild Growth goes off, and the Marines just pull back.
And we have so much action going on the map as well. There's another attack. These Blink Stalkers have been moving around as well, trying to get some work done. A lot of economic damage is actually being done on the other side of the map. This set of Marines will get cleaned up, and in the meantime, production is going down for our red team. 2 bases have been taken out, and even more harassment being done. Might even move into this base and destroy it as well. And this is the first time in a long time that we've seen red team at an economic advantage, and they're about to lose it.
It's quite unfortunate, but as to say, they're going to be able to stabilize again since the massive attack that came across on the blue team was cleaned up mostly. They're going to be able to aggress on the other side, obviously, with these Stalkers and Centurion. But once the production kicks off for the Protoss, there's so many Dragoons here, they're going to be able to push this back eventually. Both players, if they play this correctly, are going to be able to secure and stabilize their economies once again, since Vanguard has been created to be able to be stabilized, and the defender's advantage is so pronounced here in this game. Except there's a lot of units here for Zerg and Protoss. Well, the Spectres just line up their attacks here.
That's right. Vanguard is a game of incremental advantages. One fight is not going to win you the game. Many fights consistently trading cost efficiently, consistently making better decisions than your opponent is what wins you the game. It's a very low lethality game, and that creates the system where you have many gradients of success, many different levels of success for each individual engagement and for the game as a whole. Really smart moves here by Daedra. They realize, okay, it's so strong. You got to fight up this high ground over here. You have to go against an Aegis gun, and then you have another fort over here for the Protoss players. So hard to push into this position, but you can just hold them into their little island over here, keep them on 2 bases each, and continue to expand and hold your expansions. You don't really
the blink out of the way of the
move in here.
Spectres. Ouch.
Yep, and this is a really cool interaction. I really like a lot. The Spectres and the Stalkers, right? The Spectres set up their kill zones, and then their kill zones go on cooldown. The Stalkers blink out of the way, and the blink goes on cooldown. So it's this back and forth trading that's happening. Nice positioning over here. We have the Chronosphere thrown down onto the red units over here, and it's looking quite good for them, doing a lot of nice micro.
Another blink out of the way of the
blink.
Spectres. Quite clean.
Yeah, really nice. And even going to do a scan here to try and maintain high ground vision and continue to trade effectively. But, attacking, I love this. The harassment of the production structures. Keep in mind, your production structures in Vanguard count for your supply and your production all in one. So they're a big target. If you can get into a base, taking out a couple of barracks can make a significant difference. In the meantime, we do have, oh my god, this is nonstop. Daedra's hanging out over here, just refusing to let our red team get a base up. Even sending Lings over here in this direction so that Torino cannot land his base either. Just this huge economic advantage and just maintaining it over time.
If we talk about army value now, so very early on, the red team, we're going to call them, what we're calling them.
Yep. Yes, we are.
It did really focus on that lower tech unit composition with just pretty much Centurions and simply just Marines. And instantly, the flick of the switch, when they just got the 3-3 upgrades, they transitioned. We got Spectres coming through here for the Terran. So that's going to be a Marine Spectre composition, as to say, which is very long range, making these Zerglings quite... You're going to make for the Zerglings quite hard to engage into it, because the Spectre kill zones are going to be able to shred them quite quickly, but the Mutalisk going to be... Would you say that the Zerg's composition here isn't too favorable against this Terran player?
As far as composition goes, I think that the Spectres are really powerful. I think especially against the Dark Archons is pretty critical. We're going to have some interesting counterplay between Feedback, High Templar, and Dark Archons trying to cast Confusion. Things are looking pretty all right. Either way, the Banelings are going to make a big difference, a big splash, if you will, as well. But I feel like right now, it's actually the red team, you know, our orange and yellow team over here. They just got a little bit better of an army as far as if they were both to go for a heads-up engagement. But that's something that we don't see too much in Vanguard. Usually, it's about these positioning moves that we've been seeing during the game, trying to pick your opponent apart, catch them out of position, being in the right place at the right time, or catching your opponent at the wrong place at the wrong time.
That's for sure. And the Terran player here, Torino. Oh, it's so hard to say that name. Is going to split off just a handful of Marines here once again, and it's going to go into the base of the Protoss player, out of the range of the cannons, going to shred through those. Oh, he ends up getting the Nexus. That was so low HP. He was doing so well.
Really nice kill zones over here on the other side of the map, set up by the Spectres.
Sure.
Took out a lot of Banelings before they could connect with the Marines. It looks like the blue team is on the run. Despite the fact that they've had that super killer economy, they've been so far ahead. They were behind in the army. They sacrificed their army to get it, and now they're being pushed over. In the meantime, expansions being thrown up for Granas.
Oh, the kill zones take out so many of the Dark Archons. That was massive. Oh, the confusion also, but the kill zones took down 3 of those Dark Archons.
Yeah, all 4 of them now, and it looks like the confusions were not enough. There was not enough to back up. The armies are being decimated for the blue team, and the blue team has almost no bank. They can't rebuild this army. This is a very, very difficult moment. This might be the moment that they move in, but oh, we've got some Void Rays here, and Void Rays are capital ships in this game. They've got an incredibly powerful ability called Shadow Cannon, but they need so desperately to have units to back them up. They're not a unit you can just mass. You need to have some buffer. You need to have some meat underneath them, and it's so few high-tech units. I don't feel like they're going to be able to make this happen, but we are certainly going to find out very soon. This is sure. Like one of the last
More
pushes.
of the Dark Archons coming through. Are they going to have enough time to warp on in? It looks like they're going to clean this up. Oh, the Spectres in the back, though. Oh, it looks pretty
taking
tight.
down one of the Void Rays. Taking down one of the Dark Archons.
It's going to take down...
So many high-priority targets taken down by these Spectres. Oh, no. Daedra, maybe he needed Broodlords. GG.
Oh,
well
no.
done.
I was...
Feeling the burn of the Spectres. Oh, man.
Torino Granis takes it in that game there. They end up winning with just pretty much straight up brute force. It looked like by the end of that there.
It was a really cool strategy, and something that we didn't get to touch on during the game just because there was so much action is that in Vanguard, upgrades are universal. What that means is if you get +1/+1 for your Marines, you get +1/+1 for everything. Your air units, your factory units, everything, right? You have only one set of upgrades for your entire race. So by going for this strategy where they only made mineral units in the beginning, but they both got double upgrades super, super quick, it set them up so that when they transitioned out of that, they would have these really highly upgraded tech units that just totally rolled through, and they were just barely able to hang on long enough to make it happen. At one point, they were totally closed in on their base, only 2 bases each, but they were building up that force, and they were building up that army, and they moved out the right time, took bases behind it, reinforced, and ultimately won out the game. What a back and forth game this was. Thank you so much, Mimmoh, for joining me on this cast.
Not a
Vanguard.
problem at all, Jack.
All the listeners, the viewers, the people out in the world, and the playtesters, Torino Granis, Daedra, and Super Bales for making this happen. If you want to playtest or if you want to just try this game out, you can do it right now. There's all kinds of links and descriptions. We got a Discord server. We've got the map links for you. We've got the chat channel. Everything that you need to play Vanguard is in the description below. I'm going to leave it as a comment, too, because some people hate descriptions. I'm with you on that one. But that wraps it up. My name is Thomas JakaTak Labonte. With me has been Mimmoh.
Thank you so much for having me, Jack. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. This was a bit of an introduction to Vanguard and how this all works. I know it's very new to my channel. I haven't touched on it too much myself. But thank you so much for JakaTak here, for joining me and teaching me the ropes, how it all went down. It's been a pleasure to work with them and kind of playtest of how this new RTS is going to work. I'm really excited to see it even more in a final form. So yeah, if you want to check out any sort of playtesting or anything along those lines, in the description down below will be, the map links, the Discord server, and all those sorts of stuff. So come along, check it out, have a play. It's really, really fun. But as always, thank you, Jack, once again.
Anytime, man. This has been great.
And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.